Hi guys, Pinkstar here. So today I'm going to be doing a basic LED tutorial for you. I'm not getting into anything too complicated, we're not doing any Arduinos or coding or anything like that, but I will be doing the basic LED wiring for you and showing you how it's done, because the question I get asked most regularly at conventions is, how did you make it light up? And so I will be showing you how I make it light up. I'll also show you some techniques you can use to make your costumes light up without using any LEDs or wiring whatsoever. So hopefully that will help you guys with your costumes in the future so that you can have fancy lights, because everyone likes the shiny stuff. Who doesn't like shiny? So we'll start off with some of the lighting that I use without using LEDs. Just as alternatives for you if you're a bit scared of doing any wiring and things like that. It's not really something you want to do at the moment, but you still want lights. So I'll show you some of that, and then we'll go into the wiring process and how you go about wiring up your LEDs, and we'll go from there. So hope this helps, guys. Alright, so firstly we're going to be looking at lights that you can use into your costumes without doing any wiring. Now you can use things like push lights that are already they come pre-made. You just tap them on and off, has a battery already in it, there's no issue with that. So if you're just wanting like one, maybe you want an LED light up on your shoulder, or the chest piece might have like a hole in the middle that lights up, you can do something like that. Otherwise you can use torches as well. Woo. I personally used this torch in my LeBlanc staff because I just needed the one point, so it just slipped in the top of the staff. So I turned it on, put it in, and that was it. Ooh. Easy. So yeah, so that's the basic way that you can do it. Pre-made lights. You can also use fairy lights that you put on your Christmas tree. Obviously not the plug-in ones, because you can't have a plug with an extension. You need a really long extension if you're going through a convention. So just get the battery packed ones. So you get this battery powered, put in a couple of AA batteries and you're away. You can also get seed lights, which are like fairy lights but they're smaller. I have this crown here that I made. They are run off cell batteries, so they're the coin cell batteries, just the C battery. It's 3 volts, nice and easy. It usually comes with an on and off switch. I don't know if you can tell. I'll turn this on. There we go. Ooh, light up crown. So that's another really easy way to do your LEDs. I personally also use that in my Jaina staff, which is here, and I hid the battery packs in the back here. So there were 4 different battery packs that all switched on, and that's how I made my staff light up. So that's a really basic way of making your costumes light up without doing any wiring whatsoever. That's it for the basic pre-made LED section. Now we're going to be moving on to using individual LEDs, because obviously if you're wanting LEDs on this shoulder, maybe on your chest plate, helm, they might not be the best options using the pre-made ones. So we're going to use a standard 3 volt LED, and we'll show you a couple of different techniques and ways to use those to get light into your costume. So we're going to do non-wired, wired, and then we'll look at using switches and things, which is a little bit more complicated. All of these techniques I have personally used myself, so I know that they work, and I'll give you the pros and cons for each of them.
First off, we're going to need some things to get started. We need LEDs, some batteries for power, soldering iron, wire, solder, electrical tape, switches, battery holders, and wire cutters or strippers. First off, we're going to look at non-wired. Here we have a 3 volt LED. You'll see there's a long pin for positive and a short pin for your negative side. Now Now if we take a standard 3 volt coin cell battery and match up the positive side to the positive long pin, you'll see it lights up. Now you can just add some tape around that and you're good to go, and that's the easy non-wired version. As you can see, you can also get different coloured LEDs like these green and pink ones. Ooh, pretty. Next up, we're going to look at basic wired LEDs. You can get different battery packs as well, like this A4 battery pack with switch. Here's your 9 volt battery pack and the 3 volt coin cell battery pack. You also have some switches, like this large slide switch, or this tiny micro switch, which is super cute. Okay, to start off, we're going to get some solder and a soldering iron, and you'll want to solder the red wire to the long pin, which is your positive side. So just taking a bit of solder, you want to add a bit to the pin and add a bit to the wire, and then you want to join them together and just solder a little bit on the top to make sure that they're joined nice. Now add some electrical tape and voila, one side done. Now we just repeat the process for the second side. This is the negative side and we're going to use the black wire. And that's it, you've done your first wiring. Now taking this one I've prepared earlier, let's join these together. So if you're wanting more than one LED in a circuit, you can just join the 2 red wires together and the 2 black wires together, and then we will join those to a battery pack. So just twist the wires together, add a bit of solder, and then we'll add them to the battery. So now instead of 4 wires we have 2, which is what we need. Now we just do exactly what we did with the first lot of wiring, adding solder to both and joining them together nicely, adding a bit of electrical tape at the end to make sure that the join is nice and covered. Now if you've wired everything correctly, when we put the batteries in, you'll see that the lights will light up. So you'll want to make sure that your battery pack is switched off before putting the batteries in place. Once they're in, turn it on and yes, we have light. So if you don't have a battery pack with a switch already in it, you'll need to add a switch into your circuit. So using this coin cell battery holder, we are going to first connect up our LED, and then we're going to add in a switch. So we wire the black wire to the negative side of the coin cell holder, and the red side through to the positive side. And we'll just test this out and make sure it's going. Yep, all wired good. So now we want to add in our switch. We do this by adding it into the positive side where the incoming flow of electricity comes from. So what we want to do is connect up the wire going from the battery cell holder to the outside, and the one going to the LED to our middle pin. Cool, let's add the battery, and if that's wired correctly, when you switch the switch, the light goes off. Now we're going to look at some strip LEDs. They usually come in this roll, and you can either cut them into sections of 3 or sometimes 1, depending on how many LEDs are in the roll. This one here uses 3 and is 9 to 12 volts needed to power these. So they have 2 dots at either end. This is your positive and negatives. This is the negative and the positive. And we just do exactly what we did in the other basic wiring. We connect the black wire to the negative and the red wire to the positive. And that's it. Connect to battery pack and you're good. Overall, non-wired are great for beginners and good for single points of light, but you can't turn them off and movement can disrupt the connection. Wired can connect multiple LEDs, use battery packs and switches, but wiring can get messy and it can be very time consuming. Strips are good for large areas of lighting. There's less wiring needed, but they do require larger voltage and not so good for small areas. Thanks for watching guys. If you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe. See ya.